So one thing I do with this Yahoo is the same exact thing I have done with Emmett over the last few years, is I put my hands on him every single day. I don't have to do that with the mares. The mares, they're smart and they get things, and they don't keep like trying to like bite you on stuff and like, you know, want to have an argument about things all the time. But these boys, man, you got to stay on their asses 24/7. I guess it's all that testosterone. But anyway, one thing I go and do is every single day is I go and put my hands on him and touch him all over, whether he likes it or not. And for today's session, he's going to learn about some different types of ropes that make different types of noises. And so at this moment, I have my roping rope, and you know, those things are loud and they kind of flop around and they feel a little bit different than a regular lead rope, you know, things like that. And so what I always do is first just rub all over his body, everywhere, top to bottom, down the legs, underneath his belly, you know, just everywhere. And when he's good with that, which normally he is, but he saw the rope in my hand, so he's kind of suspicious of what we're going to do, because he's kind of like that. He's one of those horses that is very suspicious of what anybody is doing. I would not call him a complete, like, he's a goober, but he's not a complete goob. Like, when he sees something a little bit different, he knows something's up. And so you really got to get him to be really trusting of like what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so when that rope, you know, touched his body and it makes a little clacking sound and just a little bit, you know, different than like a regular lead rope, he wasn't real thrilled about that. And I do have him on a blocker clip, so it will pull loose, but what he did was he weaved himself around and around and around this pole, so there was no way for it to give. And so he tried to pull back and it didn't give, which, you know, I was glad for, because these are things he has to learn. Well, I always keep him on the blocker clip because it is safer. This is a good learning moment for him to realize that he's not going to be able to always pull loose. And he responded, you know, really well with that. And then I just unwound him, you know, again, and so that in case there was a big blow up or anything like that, I could release him. But I always try to make sure that we stay underneath that threshold anyway. But, you know, as with horses, you never really know. So I was kind of grateful for that, because that was a good learning moment for him. And he's taken, you know, a little bit of time getting used to it, running all over him, but he's really not being bad. He's just, you know, being a little cautious over it. But I just stick with the same pattern and the same routine, and I just rub all over him with the rope, just like I do with regular lead ropes, horse brushes, blankets, my hands, whatever. I just go with the same energy, the same feel, and don't really make much of a change with that. And then after just a few minutes, I think the whole video was only about maybe 5 or 6 minutes tops, he was fine. And then whenever we were done with that, I just got his regular soft cotton lead rope and just practiced throwing it over him, you know, a couple of times. And then I wound it around so that it would fall and drape down the sides of his hips, and to start making sure he's getting really good and used to anything falling and draping down his back end. And then I take that cotton rope and wind it around his belly like a girth would go, and snug it up just a little so he feels that pressure, you know, around his belly. And then I'll just kind of move him a little bit so that he gets that feel of that around him. and he was totally fine with it. At this point, he's just like, whatever. It's, flopping a little on his side there with the hook, and he was totally fine. And I give it a good little pull and make it a little bit more firm, and I, just talking to him and just making sure that he knows that it's all right. He's figured out it's hanging, and then he wants to try to nibble on it, as these boys do. And I give it a little pressure pull. He was totally cool about it and good to go. And naturally, of course, what you do on one side, you need to do on the other. So I just repeat the same pattern of throwing the rope off from the opposite side and letting it drape and dangle, over his hips, and fall down behind him. And that was all fine. And we ended the session there, and he did really good, and he's making good progress. This is one thing that I do with him every single day is he stays tied up there while I clean out the paddock. It's really good practice for him, learning to stand tied. It keeps me safe, so he doesn't come trying to bother me and see what I'm up to, and acting kind of frisky. Keeps me and him safe, because I might have to put a hurting on him. He comes over here and aggravates me to death. This dude right here, like, while I go and work with the donkeys and the miniature horse, he stays over here learning to stay tied up and staying out of everybody's business. While I clean the paddocks and do other things. Emmett, do not turn him away.
Do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do, ba-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. Do-ba-do-boo-doo, a-boo-ba-do-ba-do-boo-boo-ba-do. A-do-ba-do-ba-do, a-do-ba-do-ba-do-do-do.
He's on time out.
A-do-ba-do-ba-do, a-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. A-do-ba-do-ba-do, a-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. A-do-ba-do-ba-do.